What's up, y'all? It's your girl Mahogany, and I'm back with another YouTube video for y'all today. On today's video, I'm basically going to be giving my opinion and my experience, a little bit of my experience of when I served 5 years in the military, and I'm telling you if it's worth it for you or if I think it's something that you should do, etc., etc. So I'm just hop right on into it. So yes, I served 5 years in the military. I was stationed Fort Bragg. I didn't go to any other duty station. Never got the chance to. I was at an air defense unit, 108th, 88, 17. I was there all 5 years. I did deploy one time, and that was about it. I will say though, the unit definitely deploys a lot. They deployed right before I shipped to the unit. They deployed later on, maybe 9 months later, again, and I went on that deployment, and they deployed again right before I was on the way out, within my last 2 years, but I didn't go on that deployment. So I shipped off 2018 after I graduated high school. As soon as I graduated high school, actually 4 weeks later, I shipped out. I chose that date. I remember when I went through MEPS, because you go through the MEPS process after you go through recruitment, after you take the ASVAB. So once you take the ASVAB test, which is a test to basically get you into any military branch, depending on your score, they will start calling you or try to recruit you. Originally, I did want to go to the Air Force, but you can't choose your MOS with them. And by the time I got the call to join the Air Force, I had already did my first swear-in. I could have switched, but I already knew my date and I already knew my MOS that I chose. And yeah, I was like, it's right after I graduated because I already knew when I was graduating. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go with that because I was ready to get out of my living situation. So for me, the reason why I joined the military, it was to get a step up in life, to benefit me, to pay for schooling. Not that I really was so excited about going to college or doing school anyway. I'm glad that I did it through the military because I don't have to pay any student loans or I don't owe anything to school for education wise. They pay for all of that, and they're still paying for it currently as I am out of the military right now currently. So it was a great step for me. It did elevate my life financially, and I also, of course, became a better person throughout my stages of my years of serving in the military, because you do meet different people, all kinds of different people from different places, you know what I mean, like literally, like not even just in America, like they could be from overseas, and they joined the military because either they wanted to get their citizenship or it runs in their family, or it's just something that they thought, okay, I can do this, so you meet all kinds of different people. That's one great thing I will say about it. But yeah, back to why I joined. I joined because I wanted to get out of my living situation, and I had to think of the best way for me to do that without having to reach back home for anything or any type of help that I probably couldn't get for real anyway, due to circumstances, and just also not really needing to do that. It was just I wanted to be independent and be able to maneuver on my own and make things work. And because I was naturally responsible as a person anyways before I joined the military, sometimes the military does not change like somebody that's lazy. Believe it or not, people think that about the military, but like a person can be lazy before they join and it can still somehow stay that way. Like it doesn't, just because you got in and you made it through, especially in the Army, because it's a larger branch. So there are a larger amount of people that can get through and that will make it through, especially due to numbers, because it's a numbers game with them. They need to have a certain number of people. They need to meet a quota. And when you have to meet a quota, the quality of people that you recruit in changes, I will say. So it doesn't really change as far as that, they can tell you how to be morally correct. They do go over leadership skills. They do go over morals. They do go over, your combat type skill. They do go over how you're supposed to, support, uplift, and look out for your battles around you, other people also serving at your unit, things like that. But sometimes people are just not morally good people. So I had happened to already be that kind of person. So for me, it wasn't really such a big deal, honestly. The only thing that I had an issue with was literally just leadership, different types of leadership. Because, I'm not even trying to be biased or trying to be funny, but I really had a lot of leadership issues with the women leadership. Like, I had issues as well with male leadership, and then whenever I did have issues with leadership, it was really a lot of higher ups, like very superior ranks. It was not too many other issues I had with other, ranks like that, because I kind of stayed to myself, especially like the first 3.5 years, I will say, while I was serving. I didn't really start till like my last 2 years, start really kind of getting more out there. I did have one friend that I started with, Debbie. That's my homegirl. She moved to Texas now. But other than her, other than like family, until the last 2 years of me serving, I didn't really hang out like that and go out like that. I was not a drinker or, those type of things. I just kind of mostly stayed to myself, because, I was just getting out, and I was already kind of skeptical about life in general because of my upbringing, things like that. But, the only real issue that I had was with leadership. And it would mainly be because of my facial expression. My facial expression got me in trouble a lot because I can't really hide how I feel about things. It shows on my face. Even if, you might ask, is there, and then sometimes I will admit there is nothing wrong. Sometimes I could just be thinking, but because my facial expression looks not pleasant, or it looks unapproachable, I would get approached. And I would get approached from sometimes the smallest things. And it was really just the attitude that the females would approach me with, or the males, vice versa, but mostly it was females, and it was black females at that. It was always an attitude. Like, I wouldn't know who they were from a can of paint, and the attitude and their demeanor would just already be aggressive toward me, and I hadn't said a word to them yet. And I don't know if it was because of my facial expression or what it was, but I didn't even get a chance to catch an attitude with them first. Like, they had already came off aggressive to me. And once you come off aggressive to me, well, now, I do have an attitude. So, luckily though, that didn't affect me, honorably, being able to honorably serve my 5 years and get out honorably. But it almost did, because of course, when you react in a way that they don't like, and because of who they are and their rank, they can easily, and especially depending on who they know, get you UCMJ or Article 15. These are things that, they put into play, paperwork, stuff like that, it might dock your pay, or it just might be in your record, as far as like your line of history of things that you've done over the time in your military career. And it's obviously not good things. It's a bad thing. It's a negative thing. But I was lucky enough to actually not receive an Article 15, a UCMJ, and I was able to get out honorably. Even through having to deal with people who just rubbed me the wrong way, sometimes for no reason. They didn't have a real reason. And I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to be biased. I'm not trying to be funny. It's the truth. It just kind of happened like that. And it continuously happened over the 5 years of me serving. And it did play a part in me wanting to get out, because, like I said, the people make up your experience. I've obviously met some great people, and I've also, ran into some great experiences that was worth it, and that taught me a lot. But most of my military career, it was not like a cakewalk. It wasn't a walk in the park. Some people do have an experience where it is a walk in the park for them. It is simple for them. All they got to do is show up in the right uniform at the right place at the right time, and there's no trouble. There's no issues. But for me, it just wasn't like that. Like, I always found myself kind of being disgruntled, especially when we were in the field. Field is basically when you go out for a period of time in the wilderness and you conduct different combative skills, or you conduct, your MOS field, because we were air defense. So it's really for the people that was 14 series, which is like 14 tangos and things like that. And they set up the launchers, and they set up, basically they're creating like a fob, kind of like if we were out in the wilderness and we didn't have buildings and we didn't have computers, things like that. So that's what it's for. It's for training purposes, just for like when we actually do deploy. I will say I learned my job the most when I did deploy. I will say that's a fact. I did. I learned it the most when I deployed, and I had to actually kind of fight for that because the NCO that I had at the time was very used to doing things on their own. So I had to basically voice up at least a couple times before I was finally able to start at least taking responsibility for certain things that, you know, we had to do in my unit for my MOS, which was a 92 Alpha. Logistics, which is kind of similar to supply, but it's not supply. It's more so, I had more so dealt with the motor pool. I wasn't in the SSA, but you can also be in the SSA. I was in the motor pool, so I ordered parts for the trucks. I dealt with everything that had to do with the truck and GCHS Army, ordering parts for them, turning in the parts, keeping track of the parts, things like that. I didn't work in the warehouse, but working in the warehouse is your bread and butter of 92 Alpha or the 92 series. So yes, I had to kind of, you know, fight for that because I'm the kind of person that does want to take responsibility for things that is going on around me. I'm the type of person that's just going to sit back and, you know, act like, you know, just don't take any accountability for anything, or just be kind of lazy and just let somebody do all the work. I wasn't that kind of person, so I did speak up, and I did end up being able to learn my job that way. You know, it was useful. You know, I didn't just waste my time there. You know what I'm saying? So, but other than that, I'm definitely glad I served overall, of course, because like I said, I did exactly what I set out to do, which was to get a step up in life, and it gave me exactly that. If you're the kind of person that's looking for something that's stable, that's more guaranteed, and you're also able, even if you're not such a responsible person, but you're also able to break bad habits, you feel like you believe that you can if you have a reason to, and or if you just like to move around, travel around, move different duty stations. Fortunately for me, I was able to stay where I was at because I didn't like moving around so much, because as a child growing up, I didn't really get stable until I was in high school. So the last 4 years, which was in high school, my life, that's when I was in the same place. Other than that, I moved around a lot. So I didn't really like moving around a lot. But if you're that kind of person that likes to move around a lot, it's also good for that. You like to experience new things, it's good for that. Like I said, it's good for stability. It's also good for if you don't know what you want to do in life, but you do know that you are able to serve and you are able to give something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're able to give something. Then the military is great for that. If you just want to better yourself. Sometimes people join just to better themselves. Sometimes they're not joining for stability. Everybody doesn't join for stability. So you can join just to better yourself as a person. Like, and then hopefully on your journey, because everybody's journey is different, you find that. You know what I mean? Some people have found that while joining, because it does give you, eventually it gives you that sense of independency, and a sense of, because not starting out right away, not really. You're more micromanaged in the beginning than you are, you know, as you rank up and as you get through and as you go through a new experience, you know, in the military. Military jobs, working with people, is very similar to working in a civilian world. So you're going to always deal with people. Like, that doesn't change. That's always kind of the same, except for the only difference is in the military, you have to deal with people that you do not know. You have not met, you've never seen before, and it's many. So it's like in the civilian world, you might have a couple bosses, maybe one or two, maybe 4 or something like that. But in the military world, you have bosses, as long as they outrank you, they are technically superior to you. So it's like you can have a boss that's way in Korea that came down to where you are, and because they're superior to you, you have to show them a certain amount of respect anyway, even if you do not know who they are. So that's the real difference, I will say. But other than that, you always deal with people. That's just what that is. But it's good for bettering yourself. It's good for paying for school. It's good for meeting different people. It's good for stability, and it's good for if you just don't know what you want to do next in life, or if you just want to set yourself up to be more stable in life to come. You know, some people serve 20 years, which is the minimum for you to retire out. officially, I served 5. I did not serve 20. I did not plan to serve 20. I didn't want to serve 20. So for me, that just wasn't my plan. But it is good for that because you can retire at least by the time you're 40. And a lot of jobs, that's the other difference between civilian and military. A lot of these other jobs, you do not retire that early. You won't get that, you know. That's another good thing about it. Great thing about it, actually. And of course, they pay for your health care. You know, you get TRICARE while you're in. And also, if you have dependents, they can also use your be put onto your TRICARE as well, so that they can be seen for health reasons and, you know, health coverage situations. It's good for that as well. But yeah, overall, I will say, you know, I think everybody should at least serve once, at least serve a minimum of 1 contract, just to see what it is like, you know, what people before you have kind of, you know, gone through, things like that. Of course, it's not the same as it used to be. It's definitely not the same as it used to be. It was a lot harder back then, of course, because of the standards and the way that it was ran. Nowadays, I would say it's a lot more lenient than it used to be. Also, mental health that's another large thing that I want to tap on. You can get help with that for free as well. You don't have to pay for that. It'll just be your nearest behavioral health center. If you want to, you know, start a sign up, or even in your units, they're supposed to have the chaplain that you can go and speak to sometime if you just need somebody to talk to, or your leadership, your direct leadership is supposed to be, you're supposed to be able to trust them, but like I said, everybody is not. We're human, you know, so that's not always the fact. Even the chaplain sometimes talks about different things that a soldier might have told them that they're not supposed to go and tell somebody else. So it's like, it all depends on, you know, who you can trust, you know what I mean? So, but if you just need further help, like with medication, and it goes further than you just having to talk to somebody, they have behavioral health resources for you as well. They even have suicidal resources. They also do like classes so that you can be aware if somebody is probably showing those signs of suicide, depression, things like that. Not that people always pay attention, but they do put it out there, and they do make it more apparent quarterly, because it is a thing. But yeah, overall, I would say it was joining the military was my best / worst decision that I ever made in my life. But overall, the best. It was like a decision that I made in my life. So, you know, it came with its downs, but in the end, I got to receive the ups of serving and going through what I went through. So, that's all I got for this video. It's a lot longer than my usual videos. But yeah, if you are thinking about joining the military, you don't have to be the Army. It could be the Air Force, it could be the Navy. Just do your research on each branch first. See what fits you better, and you think what fits you better as a person, because you never know what you're going to encounter, and go from there. But I will say it's not a terrible decision, and you know, just you know, if you think it'll fit you, give it a try. If you see this video, it must be a sign. But until next time, thanks for watching.